Hello friends. So today's video is going to be a coloring or an inking video on how I made all of the pieces to make my autumn floral basket. So I've gone ahead and stamped a lot of the images and we're just going to go through how I colored them. So let's go ahead and switch the camera and take a look. Okay, so you can see here, and I will kind of show you the colors and just what I did. To do my coloring, I'm just using a regular circle daubers that you can pick up anywhere, nothing fancy. Not even using my Q-tips for these. So I've pretty much stamped at least one of everything that I used to make my floral garden or my floral basket card yesterday. And we are going to start with this sheet, and I'm going to start with my hydrangea stamps. And I stamped these in this bright flirty fuchsia color. I'm also going to color them in that color. So I'm just using my dauber, and pretty much I'm just making a circle right in the center of each one, leaving the tips of the petals to be white at this point. And you know, I want some of the leaves to, or some of the petals to stay white. And let me kind of bring one of the cards out here to show you. Yeah, that's not a very good example. Well, this one's pretty good, but you can see how it's lighter as it comes out. I kind of did that. Now some of them get a little heavier, like that one was heavier. That's okay. You know, they don't all have to be the same, but all right. So that is all I did to those flowers at this point. Any other coloring I do will be after I die cut them. Now for this bow, I stamped this bow in a darker purple color called Sangria, but I am going to color it with the Flirty Fuchsia. And I'm just going to put my dauber there in the center and color out, letting the color get lighter as I come out. Just like that. That's it. And nothing too fancy there. All right, now the only other thing that I colored at this point with my Flirty Fuchsia is right up the stem of this leaf, just like that. All right, so the next color we're going to move to is for the sunflowers, and I stamped these sunflowers in Catherine Pooler's Glitz, and this is a very kind of an orangey yellow. It's still definitely yellow, but it's definitely on the orangey side. And I'm going to color it in with a color called Tierra. And all I'm doing, getting some Tierra on my dauber, and I'm just going to make a circle. That is it. Nothing fancy. Just making a circle around the petals. I don't even do the petals individually. I'm just making a circle. I'm leaving the tips somewhat white. I'll hold that up so you can see it a little closer, but you know, I'm not overthinking it. You can kind of see here, I've done a lot of this already and we're not even very far. Now, to do my basket, I'm going to add right here and right here a little bit of this yellow color. And I'm pretty much just using what is still on my dauber. And then I'm going to put a little bit right over here. And these are going to be my two lightest points on my basket. Again, just holding that up so you can see. Now I may have to come back later and blend some more of this in, but for now, that's what I need. Okay, now we're going to go on to this leaf, and we're going to do some greens. Now my two green colors are these two right here. And you can see that one is quite a bit darker than the other. So I'm going to take this lighter green color, and I'm just going to color those just like that. And I'm also going to do the outer about like that. Now I'm going to come back with this darker green. This one I'm going to stamp off a little bit. I'm not sure how much is on there, but I'm just going to add a little bit of darker color right where, you know, that purple and light green come together. Just kind of blending that together, just like that. And while I'm at it, I'm going to do just down at the base here of these other leaves. Just like that. Hopefully you can kind of see how I'm doing that. All right, we're ready to move on to our basket. I'll set the greens aside for now. We'll come back to those in a moment. And I'm using a light brown and a dark brown, and then I may have to pull in a little bit more of that yellow, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to start with this lighter brown color. It is the Catherine Pooler Sandcastle is what I'm using. And pretty much I'm going to go over everything except the yellow, where I put down that yellow. Just like that. I'm going to do the same thing here to the handle. All right, now there's some places on this basket that I want to be even darker. So I'm going to get the macchiato color, which is a little bit darker brown. Some of that on there. I'm going to tap off a little bit. And now just around the edges here and under where I think there will be shadow, I'm putting some of this darker brown. I'm getting it kind of on the edge, trying to get kind of up in here where the... Now a lot of this is going to be covered up with my flowers, so I don't want to put too much effort into this, but at the same time, I just have fun doing it, so that's pretty much it, just like that. Now I think I'll come back with my yellow. I'm not really putting more ink, I'm just kind of blending that together, and then I'm also going to come back with my sandcastle. Whoops, wrong one. The sandcastle, and I'm not putting more ink, I'm just kind of blending there where the yellows and browns meet, just kind of tone down that yellow just a little bit, but that's it. Okay, and once that's die cut and we do the edges, it looks so pretty, and that's all we did. Now this leaf I wanted to do in my kind of more like an oak leaf in the reds and oranges, so I'm going to start with this color called Flame. Let's see, I'm trying to decide. I am so confused on which dauber's which. I think that's the rouge. Let's see, that might be it. So I'm just going to kind of put in a couple, just tapping it. You see here where I've just tapped a couple points across from each other in this kind of a reddish orange color. Now let's see, I'm going to come in with a little bit of this one called Ginger. And same thing, just kind of, it's a much darker color, but at this point I'm just kind of putting taps of color on there. Oops. Trying to, let's see. I'm going to use this one called Mandarin Spice, and I'm just going to kind of blend all those colors together over the whole thing. And that one didn't turn out so good because that one block kind of got so circled there. I probably wouldn't use that one. When I stamp a whole bunch of them. So if I mess one up like that, I don't sweat it. I just color up another one and be more careful to tap off when I use that color next time. All right, so let's go ahead and move this aside. And we're going to move on to these. All right, so for this one, I stamped it in this darker color called Terracotta. And let's see, what color was this? Forgot what I was just using. I can't remember. I don't know. We'll use terracotta with it, but I think that's not the terracotta thing, so let's get this one. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so I've got a little terracotta here on my thing. I am going to tap off, and now I'm just going to lightly swirl some of that on there. I'm going to do the same thing to my oak leaf, just kind of tapping some color. I accidentally stamped this one in the wrong color. I stamped it in spiced instead of in the ginger, and so it came out real brown instead of orange, so I stamped it again over here in the ginger. But I'm just going to do the same thing to all of these, because to me these are all kind of oak leaves. Here's my terracotta. I'm going to come in with some Mandarin Spice. on some of these. And I'm not going to do all of them with the Mandarin Spice. I'm just going to, so that some of them are more dark, some of them are more light. And this is my flame color, which is a little more on the red side. So I'm going to add some of that red in these. All right, now for this one, I took the one that I did the melon ice in the green, and I'm going to do just the tips of this one. Just like that. And let's see. Put a little of the spiced in there, and the spiced comes out in a very brown color, so I'm going to put that on this one. But I pretty much just blend lots of colors together to kind of get that, you know, those fall colors in there. And I just go until I feel like I like the way they look and they look different. But I don't really have a lot of, like a definite way. I'm missing the amber dauber. Let me grab one. There we go. I had to get a fresh one. I don't know what I did. I probably mixed them up, but I want to add a little bit of this. So while I've got this on here, I'm going to do the wheat, and I'm just lightly rubbing over the head of that wheat. I'm going to do the body here of my acorns. All right, am I covering that up? Just like that. And let's see, maybe some of my gourds. I'm going to add a little bit of this pretty yellow color into some of my gourds. I think that should be it. And maybe I'll do some in this leaf, or add some different color variation. Okay. I love amber color. It's one of my favorite colors. They just came out with that not long ago. Such a pretty color. All right, now I'm going to take some of my tiara, and on one side of my apple, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. And we're going to do to the apples kind of like what we did to the basket. And now I'm going to come in with Cranberry Fizz, which is my darkest red that I'm using today. And I'm going to do the other side of the apple. So where I put the yellow is one side, where I put my darkest red is the other side. Now I'm going to come back with a little bit lighter red, which is, for me, it's called Rouge. And I'm going to color over the top of them. Just like that. Now, it doesn't look like I got my yellow on quite heavy enough, so I'm going to come back with this orange peel color and just kind of add a little more orange right on that one side where I put the yellow. Okay, there you go. Now when I die cut those, I'll come back with a Copic marker and color the stems. So while I have orange peel out, I'm going to go ahead, this is my lightest orange, and I'm going to color over the body of my pumpkin. And really all of these gourds on this side. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow here in the center of my big pumpkin, and probably right there in the center of that one. Okay, now I'll finish those pumpkins off after I die cut them. So let's go to these gourds. I'm going to come back with that melon ice color, and we're going to add some of that lighter green into our gourds just like that. And come back with our darker green. I'm going to tap that one off and add just a little bit of dark around the edges. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of doing a circle around my light color because we're going to come back and add to these after we die cut them. Because sometimes it's easier to get that shading better when you're doing it die cutting. Now, we're just going to finish up our acorns and we'll be ready to die cut. So someone had said in the comments that they struggle a little bit with the coloring, and it might be that you're just overthinking it, because you can see, like, when I'm doing this, it's messy. There's no overthinking of anything. It's just getting color on them. I'm just coloring the top part, this darker brown, just like that. And then we'll finish this one off with our ginger, or I think it's ginger, when we're done die cutting. Okay, so let's die cut. I'll try to do this in a timely manner, but it'll take us just a minute because we've got a lot of images. So the way I like to die cut is cut them all apart and then just run as many through my machine together as I can. It usually does not take me a super long time to die cut, so we'll hopefully can do this in a timely manner. But I do want to show you how I finished up some of these, because some of them, they're just not finished until you do them after. So I've got all of my dies over here ready to go, so hopefully that'll kind of speed things up a little bit. Just tape these down. Am I out of the, yeah. So I have my dies ready, but I didn't have my tape ready. There we go. Got my 2 sunflowers. I think that ought to be enough to run through one time. I've been having so much trouble with my die cutting plates in my manual machine that I have switched to my old, or in my electric machine, I've switched to my manual machine, which is an old Cuttlebug. It's like super old, but it works so great that I just switched back to it because it cuts so well every single time. So, you know, that just sometimes it's easier. The older products, just some of them worked really well. So that's what I went back to. I eventually am going to purchase myself a new machine. I just haven't decided yet which one that I want to get. I'm seriously considering the one that Gina K just came out with, where it has a dial to change between the different embossing folders, but it's also manual. So, you know, I really want an electric machine, so I'm hoping they'll come out with that one in an electric version, but so far they haven't. I'll grab these dies real quick. There we go. Can't tell if that's lined up or not. There we go. Come on, machine. I just bragged on you, machine, about how great you are every single time. It did pop out. Here we go. else have we got ready? Go ahead and send through one of the gourds. I was hoping I could get this all done in 3 passes, but it may take us 4. We'll see. Now the bow is pretty much finished. I did not do anything else to the bow. I think how we colored it, it comes out so pretty. Let's go ahead and pop out these little sections so you can see. Just that one little swipe in the center with that fuchsia colored purple. And look at that, isn't that pretty? I think add a little glitter on it and it's good to go. Here's our basket. Oops. The handle. Let's do our other gourds. I just like to start a pile there, so. Whoops. Let's see, I think that's this one. These two. I think that's this one. Maybe it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. I just had it sideways. Okay. And right here. Okay, I just threw my plate across the room, so I have to go get it. There we go. Sorry about that. When I picked it up, I only had the bottom 2 and the top one went flying. All right. Looks like this is all I'm going to fit on this pass. All right. There's a few of these that I definitely want to show you, so we have to finish some of these. All right, we're down to our very last die set. And we'll do the apples and the acorn, the wheat, and this big leaf section, and that ought to finish us off. And we don't have to cut out multiples. Let's see here. almost done with the die cutting. It's not something I usually do on video, I can tell you that. I usually like to have all of this done before we start. It's kind of weird doing it on camera. All right, but we're almost done, so this should be able to be the last pass. I'm just going to put this on the apples. All right, last one. All right, that one, hopefully it went all the way through. Alright, so now we're about to get our fingers very inky. There's just no way I can do this process without making a mess of my hands. I've tried, and I finally just accepted that it's going to get my fingernails all colors of ink. So let's get this little guy. He doesn't look too great yet, but he's going to look good in a minute. And our last one, let's hope this popped out. Yeah, that's pretty good. There we go. It's not perfect. We'll be able to... this one we're not going to worry about. Okay. Alright, so here is the finished product. And these pieces definitely don't look like these pieces, but we're going to give them new life. Let's start with our sunflowers. And remember that I came back and I colored this insides, like I stamped them in this really darker color. Then on the insides, I put this lighter color. But for the tips of these flowers, I'm going to go back to this darker color of orange, of yellow. And I'm going to go around and we're just going to flick the tips. And this is a step that you just can't skip if you want your flowers to look great. You just can't skip doing this because it makes all the difference in the world. And it's up to you how far down your petal you want to go. I kind of like just doing the tips, and then of course when that is formed into a flower, you get those lights and darks that go along with the shape of the flower that just help add dimension. So this step is especially important for your flowers, but really I do it to all my pieces. That one ribbon is a rare piece that I did not go back and flick some ink on the white edges, because I almost always do that to everything. And I kind of start with my lightest colors and more work towards my darker colors, because I do end up with, you know, completely colored finger. So okay, I think we're done with that one. Let's do our purples, and I won't do all these purple ones. We'll just do a couple, so I can come back and do the rest of those later. But on this one, I'm not going to use the dark purple. I'm going to use that same Flirty Fuchsia color. This is one of my favorite Catherine Pooler colors. I love the way this looks, and I don't want to lose all the white on my flower, so I'm trying to get just the very tips. Now there might be a petal here or there where I accidentally get the whole petal, but for the majority I want to leave just a sliver of white. And again, that just helps. See, on that one I got the whole thing, but that'll be okay once it's all shaped and finished up. It'll look great. Okay. Now let's do our gourds, because that's really fun. So let's just do these three. And I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to put a little bit of this mandarin spice on the edges. And I'm kind of getting it up on the edge, like I'm blending it into that other orange that was on there. See how clear it, or pale it was? I'm going the wrong way. I'm getting it up on top. I'm not just doing the edge. I actually let it kind of blend into the orange that I have on there. I'll do it again. So you see that? I'm also doing right along the bottom. Okay, but that's still not quite enough contrast for me. I feel like, I mean, that would be okay, but I'm going to come back with one more color. I'm going to use this flame color and come back around and add just a little bit more. And on this, I am pretty much just doing the edge. I'll do just around the bottom, and then again. And on this one, I'm doing more just the edge. Okay. Probably didn't need to do the bottom on that one, but that's okay. I feel like I need just a little. This is the mandarin orange that I did first. I'm just adding a little more just to blend in that red. All right. And that's how I did my pumpkins. Now, like I said, I come back with a marker. I'm using just an E39, but really whatever color that you want to use. And I just color in my, just like that. And, you know, with this one that's so large, I might have used 2 different markers and blended them out, but not always. That's not the important part of it. So that's how I did that one. Now, let I do a similar thing with the eucalyptus for this gourd. And I'm putting it on kind of heavy out there on that outer edge. Trying to get it really dark out there on the outer edge, just like that. And I would color the top again. Now for this one, I did, let me grab okay, sometimes with certain ones I bring in like a pattern, I put it down and I kind of just circular it onto it like this, and I tapped right there between the top and the bottom. So I did go around the edges, but I added just a little bit of ink there in the center. And that's so there's that gourd. All right. While we've got the green out, I'm going to add just a little bit more to the edges of this one, especially right down there at the bottom. Like that. With this one, I'm actually going to use that lighter color green. So let's go ahead and we'll do this gourd, just top and bottom here. Mostly the bottom there, and the darker green. And we definitely want to do the basket and apples, and then we'll finish with our acorn. We'll maybe do one of the leaves, but we won't do all of them because we pretty much do all of them the same. Okay, so for my basket, I came back around with this darker brown. And down here on the curve, I added some more of that dark. See how that just adds to the basket? And might color a little bit of it back up on top. And then I just lightly do all the edges. I don't like having white edges. I can see them on my card, so I like coloring them in. Okay, so just like that, that's all I did. Doesn't that make just make the basket look more dimensional to have that darkness in there? All right, there's our basket. And I do the same thing to the handle. Now I don't want to miss for the wheat, I did it this way. And I took my amber color and I just got a dot of it, like I tapped on here, and now just right down here at the very base, I'm just gonna make it darker so it looks just like that. And that's the same color that it was stamped in. And let's see, what else do we, oh, the apple, definitely. Okay, for the apple, on the dark side where we put this dark red, I'm going to take the darkest color red and I'm going to flick the edges on that side. And then on the other side where we added the yellow and orange, I'm going to come in with a lighter red, which I think that's my rouge. And we're just going to do the edge on that side. All right, trying to leave kind of a highlight in the middle. For this one, I'm going to use this lighter green color. What did I do with the dauber for this one? I don't know how it got sitting on the purple, but I'm just going to flick the edges. Just like this. And if you wanted to, you could come back with this purple and kind of do the middle again to make that more vibrant, but it's just a hint of purple. All right, let's see here. What else have we got? Looks like we've done all those things. We got, oh, for this leaf right here where we tapped the ends with this green, I went back to the leaves that had the most of that green and just blended them out some more. So see how that adds to the color a bit, just to kind of brighten that up. Just so you see that fun two-tone color. Now for all of these leaves, I just came around with some of my different oranges and dark reds and things like that and just did the edges of all of them. But pretty much I did them all the same, just with random colors of orange. I flicked the edges just like we did before. All right, so let's finish up with this acorn. And I am going to come in and with just a little bit of that amber, I'm going to add a little more amber up in there. And now this ginger color, I'm going to do just the tip. And there we go. I'm going to add just a little bit around the edges of the amber, keeping it lighter there in the center. And to the very last thing, let's see, where's that darkest brown? The macchiato. Need some of that. And I'm just going to do the top edge. All right, there we go. There's our acorn ready to go. All right, that is how I colored up all my images. And I hope that you have as much fun as I do in adding color to these pieces. It really can be so fun. I mean, here's the ones that we did, and you know, you can just really tell the difference between the ones that you add that ink after the fact and the ones that you haven't yet. I mean, it makes a huge difference to come back and do that. And to shape everything, I could probably show you that real quick. Now these I ran through the molds with their appropriate mold, but for all of these pieces I just used my stylus and added some shape. And you know, that's for the most part. I do circles on the back for the big parts, and then I press on the front for the little parts. So there's I just follow the design there, running my stylus around in a circle. And then when I turn it over, like right here is where I want that definition to be, so I just run my cursor right, or my stylus right around that edge. And that's it. That's how I shape my basket. And then add the foam accordingly. But mostly I just do circles. All right. Oh, for the bow, of course, I trace the ribbons, and then when I turn it over, I press on the center to get that to pop up, and that just adds your curl. All right, I think that takes us to the end of all my coloring. I hope I answered or showed you everything you needed to see to kind of help you to feel confident in coloring, but it's a lot of just trial and error. And mostly just pick your color palette and then just run with it and play with it. And if you mess one up and you don't like it, like I did our leaf over here, just throw it out and stamp another one. No problem. All right. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. I did want to show you the cards again. I added a sentiment. Remember I had so much trouble with the sentiment? I did add the sentiment to this one. And I also came back and I added a couple apples up in here, and that made me like this one better too. So, all right, there's our cards. We got a lot of fall going on. Beautiful. All right, thanks so much for joining me for this video of just stamping, coloring, and die cutting. And I hope this has helped if you were interested in this. If you haven't seen the video of actually putting the cards together, you might want to hop back to that one and check it out. All right, have a great day, and I will craft with you next time. Bye-bye.